It was getting to a point where something had to happen because this wasn't working anymore for me. Hi guys, it's Amanda with Eat Pray Crunch, and I just wanted to do a short little video just talking about something we've been going through with my daughter Sophie this last month or so, because I'm sure that there are plenty of you with very small children who have probably gone through something similar, or you're going through it right now, and I thought that maybe sharing our experience with how we resolved it might be helpful for you guys too. When Sophie started getting her first teeth, she's about a year now, and she started getting her first teeth around 9 months or so, I think it was. I can't remember exact dates now, but she had a very hard time. She was in so much pain, and even though we would give her like Tylenol, ibuprofen, like the natural like teething tablets and the camellia, like everything, she was still waking, you know, after that stuff wore off in the middle of the night, she would wake up after a couple of hours in pain. And, you know, I figured this is just going to be a passing thing. I'll get up and nurse her and put her back to sleep and give her some more Tylenol or whatever it is that she needs in the middle of the night so that we can all go back to sleep. Oh, and I should say that up until that point, she had been fully sleeping through the night. She was doing 2 naps a day at that point and sleeping like 11 or 12 hours at night. So up to that point, she was basically sleep trained. If you want more information about how we got her to that point, I'll leave a link below the video I made on what we did with her at the very beginning and how we got her into a schedule and a routine in a very gentle way, no crying it out involved. It was definitely effective in getting her to sleep through the night. So if you're interested in how we do that, I'll leave that video linked down below. Back to where we were at 9 months when she was teething. So after her teeth cut and she was done with that set of teeth and she was feeling better again, she unfortunately got into the bad habit of waking up every night. So it was, you know, somewhere in between like 1 and 3 in the morning. And it was just getting to be really difficult for me because when I wake up in the middle of the night, like she would go right back to sleep if I nursed her, but then I would have an impossible time falling asleep again. It's like my body was saying, oh, you're up for the day. It's like the adrenaline would get pumping even though I was just dead tired and exhausted. So then I would be like awake until 4 or 5 in the morning, and then she would be waking, you know, my kids would be waking up then at, you know, 7 or 8 in the morning. So I was not getting very much sleep. It was broken sleep, and I was starting to lose it. There were a few days when I seriously lost it. Like I think my husband and kids were a little scared. So it was getting to a point where something had to happen because this wasn't working anymore for me. At this point, you know, I figure my philosophy is after 6 months, they are old enough that it doesn't hurt to do a little crying it out with them. I don't believe in doing any crying it out when they're newborns. Obviously, they're like fresh out of the womb, you know, 4th trimester, that kind of thing. But as they get a little older, they do start, I truly believe that they start to understand boundaries. And when you set boundaries, they are just starting to understand those. And I think it's no different with sleep. And I also think that the longer you are in a routine, the more they get used to it. And so I was realizing that we had been doing this for like a month or 2 when it was getting to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore, and she was really just getting in a rhythm of waking up at that time every night. And I realized that we need to just nip that one in the bud because the longer it goes on, the harder it will be to change that habit. So after agonizing about it and, you know, asking all my friends on Facebook for advice and everything, I finally decided that, you know, I was going to do just a little bit of modified crying it out. This is actually something that we have done with my son in the past as well, very successfully. And, you know, the reason that I was putting it off for so long is because I hate the crying. And I know that, you know, there are probably a lot of you out there who are like totally against any form of crying it out and everything, and that's fine. And I'm sure that I will get comments about how I'm a terrible parent for, you know, doing any kind of crying it out or whatever, but honestly, I don't care. This is my philosophy. I know my kids. I'm pretty confident in what we're doing. And I know that my kids are not emotionally damaged by it in any way. We have affection, we have cuddles all during the waking hours of the day, and they are fine, and they are secure, they are balanced well-adjusted kids. So I personally believe that it doesn't have lasting effects, damaging effects like a lot of people say. I just don't believe that. Now granted, if you're doing like total ferberizing where you just put the baby in the room, shut the door, and you don't ever return until morning, yes, I think that can be damaging. If you are, letting a baby cry for, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and they're not stopping, yes, I think that can be damaging, and I'm not okay with that. And I recognize that there are a lot of babies that crying it out just doesn't work for. I have talked to a number of parents who have tried regular cry it out, modified cry it out, and it doesn't work. So I totally acknowledge that this isn't something that works in every situation for every child. However, I do think that it works for a lot of kids, and it definitely has for ours. So that's what I did. There happened to be a night when she woke up at like 11:30 and I was still up. We're night owls. We don't go to bed often. We don't usually head up for bed until like 1 in the morning because that's just our rhythm. And so I was up and I still had a little time before I normally went to bed. So I was like, okay, I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm not like desperate to get back to sleep because it's not in the 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. window. So I was like, I gotta seize this opportunity. I think this is gonna be the time that I try doing a little bit of modified crying it out. I can emotionally handle it. I'm awake anyway. So that was my golden opportunity. So the first time I went in, I actually did go in and nurse her, but she was then expecting me to completely rock her to sleep because I just nursed her and put her back in the crib rather than just rocking her all the way to sleep. And she was mad about that. And so modified crying it out is where you just go back in at certain intervals of time to check on them and give them a hug and a kiss and lay them back down. So that's what I did. Every 15 minutes I went into her room and she escalated each time. She was mad. She was mad, screaming at the top of her lungs. I would go in and give her a hug and she'd calm down. I'd lay her down. She would start screaming again. And that is very hard for me. I'm not gonna lie. It is hard for me to hear my baby crying that hard. But the reason that I am okay with it is because it is such a short-term thing. I noticed that each time I went in, even though she would escalate a little further, then she would start getting quiet for, like 2 or 3 minutes. And then she would scream a little bit, then she'd be quiet for 2 or 3 minutes. So I knew that she was starting to slow down. And so I did this every 15 minutes, and all in all, it only took 45 minutes, and she fell asleep. Finally, she did, cry herself to sleep. The little gaps of when she was quiet between cries was getting longer and longer and longer. And she did go to sleep after about 45 minutes, and then she slept through the entire rest of the night. And she has ever since. So we just had to do it that one time. We nipped that in the bud, and she is back to sleeping through the night again. So I'm so glad we did it because I am back to getting a better night's sleep again. Never ever get enough sleep as a mom as it is. We go to bed late and whatnot, but if I can get my 6 hours of sleep, I know it's not enough, but if I can get my solid uninterrupted 6 hours of sleep, then I am good to function for the day. So I am back to doing that. I feel like I am such a better mom. I was seriously on the verge of like emotional break, or I had, let's say I had an emotional breakdown because I was so exhausted that I just couldn't do it anymore. So I figured that me being more well rested makes me a better mother. I'm not lashing out at my kids. I'm not, having these mental breakdowns from exhaustion. And it really has just been an overall better situation for everyone. So that is what we have done, and it really ended up being a pain. I mean, that those 45 minutes of her screaming was painful for everyone, but after that, like, she was totally unfazed by it in the morning. Woke up smiling, happy as could be, went about our day as if nothing had happened. She's totally happy. She's still a happy little thing. And so I definitely believe that sometimes when you are establishing boundaries with kids, you have to be okay with frustrating them a little bit, because I truly believe that, the parent needs to be the one in control, not the kid. When you are establishing those boundaries, there's going to be frustration on the part of the kid and therefore on the parent while that training is happening. But then after that, everybody overall is much calmer and happier because we're more well rested and that boundary has been established. The kid has accepted it. And it's just another step in them learning that, you know, mommy and daddy are the ones that call the shots, not me. One of these days I think I will do a whole video just on my philosophies on discipline, because I definitely am very passionate on what I believe about disciplining children. Overall, for me, it's very much the vast majority of the time with my kids, I am showering them with love and affection, and you know, I try to be present with them when I can, and just doing that a lot curbs a lot of behavior. And when you have that mutual respect with each other, you know, when they know that you love them and you know that they love you, when you have to do discipline, it's not the end of the world. They know that you still love them, even when you have to do some crying it out in the middle of the night, because they still have that foundation. So I'm all about being very loving, but also having, you know, very set boundaries of what is okay and what isn't. So anyway, that's just my philosophy in a nutshell. I'll go into more detail in a video in the future, but that is what has worked for us dealing with my daughter's little sleep regression. Anyway, feel free to leave a comment below, but please keep it respectful. I know that when we go into the murky waters of talking about child discipline, it's definitely murky and everybody has their opinions, but honestly, like I said, like I feel like I've really come into my own as a mom. I'm really confident in my abilities, and you know, if people think what they think, I honestly don't care. But I am also really definitely open to hearing what has worked for you guys. Have you had a child that's gone through a sleep regression? What kind of techniques have you used and what has been effective for you? Let me be the first to say too that I am totally respectful of everybody's different philosophies. I know that people will do things very differently than I do, and I totally respect that. I know that there are many right ways to raise a child. So anyway, I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you are new here, welcome, and please don't forget to subscribe, and also don't forget to go on over and check out my Facebook page as well and like that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.